My 5 greatest stories. Number 1.
When I was 18, I was representing Sweden in the European Team Championship in Italy. And at that point, I was watching the French team, Amélie Mauresmo, who eventually ended up as world number 1, and Natalie Deschi, who ended up at world number 11. And it was when I saw them competing that I actually realized that I was not going to become a celebrated tennis star. They were just so much better than me. And until that point, tennis was actually my identity, my dream. But it was a tough moment, but it was important because when I got back home from Italy, I applied to Stockholm School of Economics, and I realized I had to become good at something else in life. It can't only be tennis. And I would say I was a very lost and confused student there. I had no idea what to do once I was done with my studies. I went to the typical interviews with banks and accounting companies, management firms, but I didn't really feel inspired. And I remember going for a lunch with my brother, and he asked me like, so what do you enjoy doing in life, Nina? And I told him that I miss the sport so much. I miss the adrenaline, the people, the culture, the challenges, all of that. And then he told me, well, then you should really look for a job where you can combine your passion for sports and your experience from business and economics. So then I went to a bookstore the week after, and there was this shelf called sport management or sport business or something. And on that shelf, I found a book called What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, which Mark McCormack, the founder of IMG, had written.
Mark McCormack?
Yes, he had written that book. And that book, it changed my life. When I read that book, that's when I realized that, wow, I really want to become a sport agent. And it was so nice to have a dream in life again and have a plan. And after that, I was pretty obsessed about this work. I was reading about the sport business and learning. And 1 year later, I get a chance with Octagon in Washington, D.C. And I'm so grateful to Mickey Lawler who gave me the chance. So I moved there and started working as an agent. But I came into this path actually because of Mark and his book.
Number 2.
Can you talk about your first breakthrough moment as an agent?
My first Grand Slam, it was in 2006. It was US Open. I was very young and an experienced agent coming there with a lot of expectations. And I had this new credential, and it said sports agent, and I was so proud. But I remember then coming in the player lounge because their badge gave you access to the lounge. And I saw all these cool agents who knew all the top athletes and top players. And I remember just standing there in the corner and thinking, oh my God, how am I ever going to get into this business? It felt impossible. And then I called my mom, and I remember saying, I don't know how to do this. How am I ever going to become a good agent and know all the player? And she said to me, well, either you quit now or you keep on going. And at that point, I just decided that I'm going to work extremely hard. I started to work 24/7. I traveled all over the world. I was almost obsessed by my work, I would say. And they often say that hard work brings you luck. And I think that was the case for me, because my first client, when I eventually signed her, became world number 1. And that was Jelena Jankovic. That was my breakthrough. And suddenly I came from being no one. I had world number 1 player, and I was respected, and I got promoted, and I started to build my client portfolio, and that signing was very, very important for my future career.
Number 3.
As an agent, you've been to many Grand Slams over all the years. Could you share with us a good story from the Grand Slams?
I think one special moment for me was my first time I had a client which was playing the final in a slam. It was obviously Jelena Jankovic when she played Serena in the US Open final. And it was so special sitting there knowing that, you were part of this story and this journey. And so I would say that was a very, very special experience for me.
Number 4.
You were the director of a very big WTA tournament. Could you share with us your best story?
I I was the tournament director of Swedish Open, WTA, played in Båstad. And it was obviously a big honor because in Båstad I also grew up myself. I used to play there as a kid, and it has so much tennis tradition. We had a sponsor meeting one year, and we were all saying, how can we raise this tournament to a different level? And everyone said our dream player, obviously, that would be to get Serena Williams to Båstad. But obviously it was pretty unrealistic dream because at that point Serena was world number one. Båstad was a small tournament, played on clay the week after Wimbledon, which is played on grass. So it wasn't looking very good, but we said, hey, let's give it a shot. And somehow we made it. So the year after, Serena won Wimbledon. She's world number one. A few days later, she arrives in Båstad. She plays on clay. She plays unbelievable. She wins the tournament. And the fans and the media and our sponsors were so happy. And I remember feeling very, very proud at that moment. We renewed with our sponsor and everyone was happy. And we filled the stadium for the first time. And people were just watching, walking. It was tennis fever in the whole city, in the whole Båstad, actually.
Number 5.
Earlier on, you were with a different agency that you ended up leaving. Can you talk about that juncture in your career?
Yeah, I always had the dream of starting my own agency and build something with my own team and my own values. And then in 2014, that's when I actually had the courage to do it. Starting Wesport is probably the craziest idea of my life because I had to leave all the clients and I had no income, I had no partner. And I remember talking to my dad and he asked me, well, have you really thought this through? And I think, in life, what you regret is what you don't try, not if you try something and fail. So I had the idea that if this is not going to work, at least I tried, and then hopefully I can get another job. I had been working as an agent for many years, so I had the experience and confidence. From the beginning of my career, I was pretty unsecure when I started, but having reached certain levels and experienced things and worked with good clients and having the network, I had the courage. So in 2014, I took the decision. Wesport is the name was because we as a team, I knew I could never do this alone. So it was important for me to build something with a team. And also we was from Wennerstrom, my name. The team I was setting up, everyone had sport experience.
With Wesport, when did you feel you got that feeling of vindication that you made the right move and things started to take off for Wesport?
Yeah, I think after a few years, actually, the first few years were really, really tough and scary because, as I mentioned, we really had nothing. Mm-hmm. But after a few years, I felt that the market was receiving Wesport very positively. I felt like we had a great team, and it was a great advantage also that we had different sports. The athletes were really appreciating that we had the tennis, the hockey, the soccer, and also that we could pretty quickly become global. That was an important aspect. I never wanted to build only a Swedish or a Scandinavian company. I had to build a global business. So today we have over athletes from over 20 nations, and this has been very crucial for our success.
Thank you for watching Tennis on Demand. Please remember to subscribe.